Welcome to Vegan Business Talk with Katrina Fox, author of Vegan Ventures, Start and Grow an Ethical Business. Hello and welcome to episode 30 of Vegan Business Talk. I'm Katrina Fox, journalist, media trainer and editor of veganbusinessmedia.com, the multimedia blog providing success tips for vegan business owners and entrepreneurs. In this episode, I interview Ilsa Hess from Love and Joy Foods, producers of Nacheez sauce in Sacramento, California. 5 years ago, Ilsa was working in a government job as an IT consultant for the city of Sacramento. Before that, she had professional experience in web design, graphic design, photography, product demonstration, and customer service. All these skills came in handy when she decided to launch her business. One day she found herself craving some nacho cheese from a pump, so she decided to make her own. After literally bottling her cashew-based recipe, local stores began stocking jars of Nacheez. The product is currently available in over 50 retail outlets across the US. Now, this is particularly impressive in that, for the most part, Ilsa deals direct with retailers herself. She also packs and ships online sales to customers, along with her parents, who are the only additional staff. Last year, the company launched Nacheez in pouches, making it easy for customers to slip into their bags or lunchboxes. In this interview, Ilsa discusses the importance of developing patience when running your business, as things rarely happen in the time frame you want, tips on cold calling retailers to stock your products, how to get into a retailer even if you have few to no sales of your products, the importance of opening lines of credit while you have a salaried job, the key mistake new business owners make and how to avoid it, and much more. Here's the interview with Ilsa Hess from Love and Joy Foods, producers of Nacheez. Hello, Ilsa. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, my pleasure. Happy to be here.
So tell us about the why behind Nacheez. Why do you do what you do? What drives you?
The biggest thing is just having a convenient way for people to have a nacho cheese sauce that doesn't have any dairy in it. So that's the biggest one. And once in a while, I'll get a person that comes up to me and says that they actually went totally vegan. They were vegetarian before, and then Nacheez actually helped them go fully vegan, which just gives me chills, and that's exactly why I'm doing this. So it's great to get that feedback once in a while.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is fantastic. But why did you try? Because obviously, we can, make a difference in the world in lots of ways. Why did you decide to go down this route, like the business route, as opposed to a different form of activism? What kind of drove you to start your own business in this way?
The funny thing is I had this huge dream of having my own rescue, an animal rescue. And then I started thinking, well, I need to have some kind of funding to be able to open that rescue. And then at that same time, I was experimenting with a bunch of different cheeses, and, the beginnings of Nacheez started happening, and it just sort of clicked that, if this takes off, then I would be able to have the funding to get that rescue group together. So that's
fantastic. I love that. Now, in terms of vegan food, a lot of vegan business owners say that, particularly with food, the price point often tends to have to be a bit higher because it's ethical. How do you deal with that challenge to stay competitive and continue to attract clients?
I do a lot of my own demos, so I'm out there in the field giving out samples, and this does come up a lot. And the one thing I'll say is, the cashews, and instantly I just say cashews, and people understand that there's a cost behind having that amazing nut in Nacheez. And then, the more we talk about it, they realize, it's much healthier. Yeah, they could go with a less expensive, even full of dairy version, because a lot of people I talk to are omnivores. And yet the ones that want to pay a little extra know that it's healthier, it's low in calories, and so they'll invest in themselves, and I help to encourage that. And, and we're talking about business owners, too. Sometimes you just can't have everyone be able to afford your product, and that's okay, too. There's other things that they can do. So it's kind of both sides of the coin there.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. And I think it is good to educate. It's all about educating the client, isn't it? Educating customers, because they're so used to, getting cheap products that are made from animals because of all the subsidies, that they're kind of like, oh, why is it so expensive? But like you say, when you explain it, then, it kind of takes down those barriers, and they're more likely to say, oh, okay, there's benefits for me, for animals, the planet. So that's great. So tell us about when you first started up Nacheez. What were some of your key challenges when starting out?
The biggest challenge I found is time. When you're first starting your business, you're all excited, you know exactly what you want, what you want to do with it. And sometimes, in my case, it was getting from me cooking in my kitchen to friends and family to having actual jars to hand out with the co-packer. It's time. It took a whole year before I actually had a jar of Nacheez in my hand to be able to sell. And that's a huge challenge because you just want to go out there and do it, but sometimes you have to take a deep breath and just wait because it's worth it. But I see that time situation come up over and over again where it's like, oh, I want to make this change. Well, I just can't go in there and do it myself. I have to wait for the process. So that's one of the big challenges.
That's an interesting one. I'm glad you brought that up, actually. I hadn't considered that because, yeah, that's right. So particularly with something like what you're doing, there's kind of so many pieces of the pie, or the cheese in this case, to get through. That's a really good point, actually. So how did you handle those?
At first,
the case of go on.
In the case of waiting for my jars of Nacheez to be made, I have to admit it. I was new to the entrepreneur game, and I just went in and just, to be honest, I freaked out a couple of times. I actually had to be gently escorted out of a building because I was yelling and so upset that their timeline was not right. It was happening, and it's like, how embarrassing is that? So you learn very quickly.
I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your honesty, and I bet a lot of people listening will probably go, oh, gosh, yeah, I've done that too. Phew.
Totally.
That's funny. So as you've grown the business, how have those challenges changed over the years as you've grown and really, gotten into, selling more and being in retailers?
To be honest, a lot of the same challenges are there, money, time. They're just different players, some old players like my co-packer and such, and once you finally get a handle on how to gracefully navigate those challenges, I think keeps happening over and over again, so you can just get it down pat where it comes up again, like, oh, okay, it's going to take a little longer than expected, or you plan ahead even more. You double the time that you think it's going to take, and then you double it again, start doing those kind of things. But yeah, they're pretty much similar, just different incarnation, different players.
Right, excellent. So now, as we mentioned, Nacheez products are available in a number of retail outlets across the US. So that's pretty cool. How did you go about making that happen?
I actually cold called places, and again, a great learning curve because every person you talk to, they have different background, they have different ideas of what they want to be called. So you learn as each person you call. Some are nicer than others, to explain, but yeah, at the beginning, and even still today, I call a place and just tell them what I'm doing and if they'd be interested in trying the product and having it come in. And 99% of the time, they say yes, I'd love to try it and see what happens.
Wow, you must be very good on the phone with cold calling. That's really awesome.
Thank you. It's hard.
I bet a lot of sales professionals are going, what's she doing? What's her secret?
Oh, also, too, I should mention that that's most of it. I do have a woman who is my sales rep, and she does just a handful of clients that she takes care of, and then she does chocolates and things, and so she'll bring also Nacheez and then present Nacheez to the buyers as well. And she works on a commission, which is nice because no money up front. Whatever she sells, then I pay a commission. So that helps a lot too because then she's doing all the legwork, but then there's a cost for that. So it's kind of another thing about learning business. There's always a cost to help.
Yeah. So do you use a distributor to get the products in, Ilsa, or are you literally supplying directly to the retailers?
I'm 100% direct. I do. So if you order Nacheez online, I'm the one that packs it up and puts it in the post office. So even for the stores as well, I go to FedEx.
Wow.
Ship them off.
Okay. Wow, excellent. Okay.
I'm looking into distribution. It's taking time to find the right one, and I'm excited for that because there'll be one less thing that I need to worry about, and one thing that will be definitely taken care of, as well as getting into more stores. So I'm looking forward to distribution for that reason.
Well, I'm very impressed because I looked on the website and the list of stores is very impressive, and the fact that you're dealing, pretty much direct with those yourself, that's super impressive. So that's fantastic. What advice would you give to other vegan brands, particularly new ones of any kind, who want to get their products into outlets?
My big thing is just take a moment before you even pick up the phone and kind of write out a little script. Something that, something quick, because these people that you're talking to are very busy, and just get to the point of why they should even consider it. And it's something, kind of that makes you stand out. Like, for example, I'll call Whole Foods, and I'll say, I'm in the Sacramento area, that it's been selling very well. And instantly, they're listening more intently, something to kind of grab them. But you want to be really quick. So that's the biggest thing. And before I pick up the phone, too, I take a deep breath, because sometimes you might get someone on a bad day, and just try not to take it personally. That's a huge mantra. Don't take it personally. They're having their own situation, too. So that's another big key tip.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really important one. No, that's fantastic. So that's an interesting one that you raised when you mentioned that the product is selling well. Is that important to them? So are you saying you wouldn't ring up if you're just brand new and you haven't really got a lot of sales? Is it best to wait until you've, you can say to them, look, it's already selling well?
No, that's a great question. At the beginning, I didn't have any sales at all to reflect on, and so instead I would play up the fact, especially if I started locally first, so I'm a local person, I'm just starting this business, things like that kind of draw them in, like, oh, okay, you're a local person. That alone will start the ball rolling in the right direction. So, and then from there you build on. So then when you do get local businesses, then you can start branching out, or maybe first start with vegan only grocery stores like Nooch Market in Boulder, Colorado, because already you're a vegan product, so they'll be a lot more receptive. So there's a couple more tips there, too.
Excellent. That was brilliant. Thank you very much. Really good advice. Thank you very much for sharing that. So do you have any staff, Ilsa?
Nope.
That work for you?
It's me and my parents.
Wow. I keep getting impressed by this. This is amazing, because even just everything seems like, you've got this big team behind you. So I'm amazed at what you've achieved so far and excited to watch you grow. So have you used any other kind of expert help to help you grow your business, whether, business coaching, marketing, publicity, that kind of thing?
I have spent money, like $1,800, to hire a business coach, and I even hired a video company down in LA to make a video about my products, and it's really interesting just from my own experience, and everyone's totally different. I just found that some of the best resources are free. So people that I love to use are local businesses. Like there's Pita Kitchen, which is a great Mediterranean restaurant, and the owner is very nice. And when I come in, he sits down with me and we talk about things, and he has decades of experience, and so he kind of helps me along, gives me tips and tricks, and it's just the price of the meal, while I'm there just sitting there talking and chatting. And also I have a friend whose father started their own business from scratch, and so it's not a food business, it's actually making signage for ATMs and banks. But his general idea and outlook really helps me get new keys. Like his suggestion I gleaned from him was read books from entrepreneurs. Like I have a book on the person who started Starbucks, and things of that nature, so you can kind of read and get into the mindset of entrepreneurs to see what works for them and what doesn't. And you'll find that even though they're like multimillionaires, at the end of the day, they still have the same issues and the same struggles. And then they have neat ways of telling you how to kind of deal with those. Yeah,
for sure. Fantastic.
Like what
let's talk a little. So let's talk a little bit about competition, because there's now a lot more options available for people to buy vegan products, including vegan cheese, which is very exciting. So how do you go about standing out both within the vegan business arena and also outside of it, and maintaining clients and customers?
It can be really daunting, because there are so many great options now, which is a plus. It's huge. It's great. And the way I look at it from the beginning, I always thought, you know what, there's hundreds of mustards, and yet they're still on the shelf, and people have their favorites, and they're all thriving. So why not the vegan cheese community? And I found just working with clients and talking about to them, and my customers too, about talking to them about other options that they have available. They each have their own preference, and they even they'll use one for one application and another one for another application they like better. So we're all benefiting from this competitive world. It's really nice.
Fantastic. Just related to that, what are your thoughts on the whole concept of not even thinking about competitors, but instead embracing them as collaborators with whom to potentially do joint ventures? What are your thoughts on that? And have you done any of those kind of partnerships? I would love, as far as like another nacho cheese sauce, it's hard to collaborate because we're both doing the same thing. But like if I could find like a chip seller or someone that makes chili for chili cheese fries, I would definitely love to have collaborators and to be a part of that. I think that would be wonderful. Fantastic. Now let's talk about the use of the word vegan in your branding and your marketing materials on your website and the prominence of the word, because as we know, there's two schools of thought. One, it's limiting, it scares people off, or, it's actually good to use now because it's become a bit more popular. What are your thoughts on this? And tell us a little bit about the choice of how you use the word or not in your marketing and why.
Well, Nacheez actually hit the market 5 years ago, and even within 5 years, there's been a huge shift on this question. It's a great question. When I started my company, I decided to go with not putting vegan on the front of my label, but I know people who were vegan to double check to see if it was vegan would instantly go to the ingredient list. So I put vegan and a big V right next to the ingredient so they would quickly know this is a vegan product. But on the shelf, to draw people in, I didn't put it on the front because that way, vegans and non-vegans alike would instantly be drawn to it. Some might even grab it not realizing it was vegan. And so I didn't want to eliminate that sector of my customers. So I thought it would be more inclusive. But, that's me, and everyone's totally different, and that's just how I handled it.
What about on your website, Ilsa? How prominent do you use the word vegan there?
I think it's not super prominent. I do have a tag or a tab that is like why vegan. So there is kind of a hint there that this is a vegan product. It does say non-dairy. I guess at this point I'm just kind of promoting that it's a healthy nacho cheese sauce. So I guess I've never just really focused on the word vegan too much.
And it's actually a really smart strategy. I like it because, like you say, with the front of it, like people, who don't really care that it's vegan or otherwise will grab it for those other reasons. But then for vegan consumers, they can easily flip it over and see, okay, yeah, it's for me as well. So it sounds like a very smart strategy. I think you've covered both bases there, which is awesome. So in terms of marketing and PR, what current strategies do you use and what do you find most effective?
Let's see. For marketing, I pretty much make my own graphics as far as taking images and adding text, making my own videos. I pretty much do everything myself. I am kind of in a holding pattern at this time. I'd love to break out and bring in, some kind of marketing team or something of that nature. But right now, with financial restraints, I'm doing it all myself. And actually, I enjoy it. It's really fun. So I do a lot of the marketing myself.
So you're doing mainly, is it social media a lot that you're doing?
Yes, social media. And then I'll, for example, like create a new recipe using Nacheez and then add that to my webpage and then add a photo of that recipe or maybe make a video. And then on that webpage, I would take the link to the page and then put it in my social media. So it's kind of cross-referencing so people can kind of come back to my page to find recipes and how to buy it. So it goes back and forth.
Fantastic. What social media platforms are you most prominent on?
Facebook Twitter and Instagram at this time. Those are my three.
Right. Yeah. I can imagine what you're doing is very visual because people want to see what you're doing, and that's a really smart strategy, like you say, to create recipes using your product. So it's not just seeing the product in the jar; it's actually getting people salivating, like I do, because I don't do much in the kitchen. Like, I'm a really good lunch and dinner guest, so I kind of love seeing these kind of things, and I'm literally, oh my gosh, yeah, that's
great.
Fantastic. Now, I believe you've been featured in some media as well. I think we discussed this when I did the interview with you for the book. How is it? What have you been featured in, and how useful was that in terms of either raising the profile of your brand or increasing sales?
I'm so thankful. I've been put in magazines, such as an article about different cheeses, things of that nature, not like a paid ad, but an actual story in a magazine and also in newspapers. And I've been on television a few times, too, and in local Sacramento news stations. And out of all of them, the television spots just are off the charts. Back on one of the TV spots I was in, I was only in one store at the time. And so it was really easy to see, like, okay, the spot is aired, and then people were literally coming down and knocking on the door of the store trying to buy Nacheez, and then my website was blowing up and then getting orders there and likes on Facebook. So I guess because it's like, you can tell exactly when that TV spot is aired, and then anything after that is definitely related to that, so it's easier to gauge. But by far, hands down, the TV spots were the most like spike kind of feedback. But magazines and newspapers were kind of a slow burn kind of thing, where things kind of trickle in, people contacting me. So it was more of a long-term slow burn, if you might say.
Fantastic. Oh, congratulations. That's really good to hear. How did you get those that media coverage, and particularly the TV spots? Did you approach the media? Did they find you? How did it come about?
When I first got Jars of Nacheez, I created a press release and put a little care package bag together and went to all the major TV stations in the area. And so I got a couple of responses from that. Other ones were being a part of an event, like I was part of Veg Fest here in Sacramento, and the news crews came and were videoing all of us, and then at that point had saw the footage and then contacted me later and said, I'd love to do a story just on you. And it's actually on my website, Nacheez.com. There's the video that he came over to my house and did this whole expose on me and Nacheez and veganism. It's really fascinating. I'm so blown away that he did that. And it helped immensely to have that on the air.
That's fantastic. And congratulations to you for getting out there. That's really a good example of someone, literally getting out there and pounding the pavement, so to speak, by contacting, like you say, those local TV stations, not being afraid to do that, which I think a lot of business owners can be. That really shows that, you got some great results there. So and you've been very smart by putting that clip on your website as well, so people can see it, because it really adds credibility. So you're a very good example of getting out there and doing your own publicity. So it's great. So let's talk about you've been doing this for 5 years. What were you doing before that, Ilsa?
I was an IT analyst for the county of Sacramento, so a government job.
Ah, okay. Wow. So that's quite a big risk you took then, to go from a sort of, I guess, relatively secure job, as much as jobs can be secure nowadays, to running your own business. So for someone who's in that situation that you were in 5 years ago, they really want to start a business, they're really passionate about it. What, in your opinion, what are the key things they need to take into account before making that jump from employment to self-employed?
The biggest thing that I found was credit. Once you make that leap, creditors love a constant paycheck, and then you go into being an entrepreneur and you're higher risk when it comes to credit. So I wish I had actually opened more lines of credit. It'd be credit cards, a line of credit for a loan or something of that nature, just because even if you don't use it, just having it sitting there waiting in case for those emergencies where everything, all the bills come in at once and you're kind of tapped, to have that little buffer really would be a big help. And so that would be the biggest tip I would give.
That's really useful, actually. Not many people have mentioned that, so I really appreciate you saying that. That's great. So what would you say, I know you've kind of touched on that already, what would you say some of the other mistakes aspiring business owners make?
I think that a product will sell itself. I know I was like, oh, once it's on the shelves, it'll just fly off the shelves magically. Everyone will know about it. To put extra money in, hiring people to do demos for you if you can't do them yourselves, having that, any kind of marketing or something to get your name out there, because, you call all these stores and get your product on the shelf, and then it just sits there, and then the store owner's looking at you like it's not moving, and so that's a big one. I think we get so excited at starting a business we forget about that.
That's another really good point as well. So you mentioned you were working in the government job, Ilsa. What skills from your previous job or jobs or careers have been useful in transferring to running your own business?
It's kind of wild, actually. I look back at all my jobs, and it's almost like I knew Nacheez was down the line or something. Like, for example, I used to actually be a demo specialist at a health food store up in Santa Rosa.
Did you?
I did, yeah.
How funny.
And then so I have that experience, and then I was a customer service representative at a cell phone company, so I have all the phone skills and all that. And then my IT computer skills from all these many years of just graphic design and web design, photography. It's just like perfectly primed to be the Nacheez lady.
It so is, isn't that funny? It's like the universe kind of had this plan for you.
Totally, yeah.
That's really cool. That's great. Now, in terms of funding your business, so we touched on that a little bit. Obviously, every business, even an online one, has got some startup costs. So what are some of the methods you use to get started, if you feel comfortable sharing them? And what have you found that works well?
No, I don't mind at all. I actually was in a car accident, and so I got a settlement. So that was kind of the seed money that started this, and it goes by so fast. So I had actually worked with my parents before I started going into business and asked them to help me out, and they've actually been helping me, like my biggest investors in Nacheez. So I've been very fortunate to have them on board. But, the money doesn't last forever, so, keeping that in account. Also, I received a grant from Whole Foods. I don't know if you saw the story. There's another lady entrepreneur that does it's called a Culture Kitchen. They're a cashew cheese here in Sacramento, and they're sold all around the Bay Area. And we actually both won, and we shared it. So actually, she won by one vote to get the grant, and then we had decided ahead of time to share it no matter who of the two of us won. And so having that money, it was a $3,000 grant for each of us, having this check just given to you for $3,000 to promote your business and make it grow was amazing. So looking into any kind of grants, Whole Foods is a huge proponent for local entrepreneurs, so checking in with them, because that's where we got our grant too.
Oh, that's a really good point, actually. I think a lot of businesses don't think about grants. You often associate grants with non-profits, so I think that's really great. And how lovely that the two of you shared that. I think it's a really good example of, vegan business owners collaborating. And I get that a lot with a lot of the interviews. It's kind of like, everyone wants, of course you want your own business to succeed, but you also want other vegan businesses to succeed as well. So I really love that you decided to share that, which is fantastic. So let's go on to final couple of questions are around mindset. So a lot of business owners would say that running a business is fastest and most effective form of personal development. What could, it forces you out of your comfort zone and other kinds of things. So what personal qualities do you believe are essential to not only running your business, but running it in the long term and making it sustainable?
Two really big things. One is, and this I had to learn, I was not this person, the ability to stay calm in very stressful situations. And it's just a lot of it's not taking it personally. So taking lots of deep breaths and realizing, okay, we can work through this, having that mantra, we can figure this out, and it helps kind of get through that, because some really big curveballs will definitely come your way. And the other thing is realize that, you can work on other things while this one big item is taking its time getting together. Stop sitting there just focusing on it and freaking out about it. Just get another deep breath and then realize, okay, I don't have to worry about this right this second. I can go over here where these other, graphic designs or social media, whatever else that needs to be done that's on your to-do list, just to kind of get, because that item is going to take its time and be finished when it's ready. Either you can sit there and stress about it, or you can move on and use that time in a beneficial way.
That's really good advice, actually, as well. Are there any specific like techniques or activities that you do to ensure that, because obviously, you do a lot of it by the sounds of it, you're filling orders, you're doing the social media, creating blogs and videos and recipes and all this kind of thing. So, and that can obviously, if you're, doing that with almost just you or just you and your parents, that's a lot of time. It could potentially get a bit stressful. So I'm curious, do you do anything to ensure that you maintain a strong mental and emotional well-being as a business owner and entrepreneur?
Definitely. The biggest thing is I do a daily guided meditation where I just go out in the backyard, put my feet in the grass, and start the day by just really grounding and, just doing this meditation to really start the day out right. I've noticed if I don't do that, then I'm already starting out the day kind of frazzled, and it just gets worse. So that really just helps set the tone of the day. Deep breathing. I know I've mentioned this many times over our interview just now, that take a deep breath, take a moment. Let's just maybe come back later, take a deep breath. It's really helps because it's going to be there waiting for you when you take 5 seconds, or if you deal with it right then and maybe waiting 5 seconds, or the next day we'll have a fresher mind to really handle things. So that's a big thing I learned. Also, I do a lot of spiritual learning, and I have a coach that helps me with business and spiritual teachings, and it's looking at the big picture, because it's really easy to get right, in there, focus on one tiny little detail, when just taking a deep breath, stepping back, and realizing this is just part of the process. What else can I do? Those kind of, it's a spiritual kind of learning that you need to learn to just realize the big picture of everything. And journaling. I love to journal because you have so much in your head, and it just sits there and it just goes in a cycle over and over again. And if you write it out, you can say what you want. That person never hears about it. And you can get it out on paper, and it's out of your head. So that's another thing I like to do.
Wow, that's amazing. It's really important to know that, because it's so tempting, I think, as a business owner to think, right, you've got to work every single hour, and, you can't afford to have a break. And sometimes I get guilty of that myself. If I'm so focused on something, I'll sit at the computer and realize I've sat there for like 4 hours with no break, and I'm hunched over, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I think it is important to take that time out. Even if you think you can't take it out, it's probably the reason you should take it out. So I'm really glad that you've explained that and given some really good ideas there as well, which is great. What are some of the key lessons you've learned through running your business, Ilsa, whether that's personal or professional or both?
That nothing is serious enough to lose your composure. When you're screaming and yelling like that day that I was escorted out of the building, it didn't help. If anything, it made things much worse, and it was very embarrassing. So just keep your composure. Everything will work out. And also, taking a beat. Just get a stressful email. You don't have to reply that second. You can just kind of, okay, you know what? I'm going to shut this down. I'm going to go for a walk. I'll deal with it tomorrow when I have a fresh mind. So that's the two main.
That's really good advice. Very, very good advice. And just finally then, Ilsa, what's your long-term vision for Nacheez and for yourself?
I would love if another successful vegan company that had a product that was complementary to, Nacheez, like a chip or, chili, fries, something of that nature, would take me under their wing and help take Nacheez to the next level of, being introduced to their distribution and also, the recognition that I'd be connected with, say Follow Your Heart or something like that, where it's like, oh, they know Follow Your Heart, and then Nacheez is under that umbrella, something of that nature, where it would just get Nacheez out to even more people would be amazing. And I think if that did happen, it would allow me to spend more time doing what I love the most about this business, is promoting Nacheez and getting out there. I have a vintage travel trailer named Daisy. She's a 1962 Oasis. And
oh, wow.
She's insanely cute. There's pictures, and a lot of the videos of the recipes I take inside of Daisy's little kitchens is all colorful and turquoise and aqua and things. And she's just so much fun to be in and around. And people come from all around just to see, what is this? And I would love to be able to go around and go to all the stores that carry Nacheez and do demonstrations, things of that nature, and really promote Nacheez in a fun way and let the distributors and, the co-packers and all of them kind of deal with the day-to-day operations and let me have the fun. That would be really cool.
That's fantastic. And that's really good to hear, because a lot of business owners, not just vegan business owners, actually really dislike the idea of promoting. Like, they just want to make their stuff and they don't want to do the promo. And that's lovely that you're really up for doing that. That sounds face. And in fact, that's just reminded me, actually, didn't you do something cool with some in the car or something? I remember when I interviewed you for the book, didn't you have some at traffic lights you were passing out stickers or something or other for the products?
I have little pouches, little 1-ounce pouches with Nacheez, the cheese all ready to go inside. And they're perfect because I have magnets on the side of my car.
That was it, magnets. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge, actually, thanks for reminding me. That's a huge marketing plus. If you will make your money back tenfold with those magnets on the side of the car, because then they're approachable. People come up to you and ask you questions, and it gets out there. It's fun too.
Fantastic. It sounds like you're doing a lot of really fun and exciting stuff, and you've already had a lot of success to date, so I'm really excited to see Nacheez grow. So thank you so much for joining me, Ilsa. It's been lovely speaking with you.
Oh, it was lovely talking with you too. It was really fun.
So that was Ilsa Hess from Love and Joy Foods, producers of Nacheez. You can find out more at nacheez.com. And that link is on the show notes page at veganbusinessmedia.com/podcasts. Now for our vegan business news roundup. A vegan burger bar is launched at Whole Foods in Colorado, reports latest vegan news. Menu items at the new eatery include Beyond Meat vegan burgers, chicken and fish sandwiches. Side options include sweet potato hush puppies, hand-cut French fries, vanilla shakes made with coconut milk, and more. And the store also recently launched an all-day breakfast menu. Sounds yummy, and it's certainly all happening in Boulder, Colorado. Now, once upon a time, we were hard pushed to get any kind of vegan cheese, especially ones that tasted halfway decent, let alone delicious. Now, vegans have their own cheese festivals, and in fact, there's one that's even more niche, a vegan grilled cheese festival. The first vegan grilled cheese invitational took place at Sage Organic Vegan Bistro in Culver City, Los Angeles, earlier this month. 10 chefs took part in the event, which was presented by Eat Drink Vegan, which was formerly the Vegan Beer and Food Festival, and sponsored by Follow Your Heart. Celebrity judges included former NFL defensive lineman David Carter, also known as the 300-pound vegan. Chef Ayind Howell, author of The Lusty Vegan, won the People's Choice Award for his mac and cheese grilled cheese sandwich, and Vinny Blanco, aka Gangster Vegan, won the judges' favourite with his Philly sweet potato cheesesteak grilled cheese. And all the ticket proceeds from the event went to People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. Well, we certainly are progressing when it comes to vegan cheeses. And, these kind of events associate vegan eating with fun and deliciousness and raise the profile, of course, of vegan cheesemakers, forcing everyone to get more innovative. It's very much a win all round, and it's a great idea for any city. A vegan drinks company, Califia Farms, has launched what's believed to be the world's first vegan nitro cold brew coffee, reports Veg News. The new concoction is a cold brew latte available in 3 flavours, mocha, latte and New Orleans. It's infused with nitrogen to give it a foamy finish, while almond and macadamia nuts add to the creamy effect. So again, it just goes to show that you don't need animal products, including dairy, to enjoy your coffee. North Dakota is set to get its first vegan restaurant, reports W Day. The state is only one of 5 in the US that doesn't have a vegan eatery. Greenhouse Cafe is due to open next month in Fargo. Owners Joey and Abby Haynes are currently running a crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter to help them with the launch. The couple not only want to attract vegans and vegetarians, but also local mainstream customers. So it's always a risk opening the first vegan eatery in an area, but if you can wow the locals with delicious food, there's no reason why you can't be successful. Congratulations to Joey and Abby for taking the plunge in North Dakota. The Republicans and Democrats are not renowned for getting along, especially in an election year. But they've done themselves proud with a new bill that would prevent government bodies attacking vegan products, as happened last year with the furore over Hampton Creek Just Mayo, which is a vegan mayonnaise product. Bloomberg reports that a Freedom of Information Act request revealed the nefarious lengths the American Egg Board went to protect the egg industry from the vegan startup. Egg Board President Joanne Ivey was shown to be part of an email thread in which an egg executive asked, "Can we pool our money and put a hit on him?" in reference to Hampton Creek CEO Josh Tetrick. Wow, that just goes to show how much animal abuse industries are threatened by the growth in plant-based alternatives. The new bill, the Commodity Checkoff Program Improvement Act of 2016, introduced this week by Senator Cory Booker, a Democrat from New Jersey, and Senator Mike Lee, a Republican from Utah, proposes to stop these agricultural bodies from breaking the law. The Egg Board is a commodity checkoff program that operates under the supervision of the US Department of Agriculture. As such, it's not supposed to attack competitors or influence public policy. So it's great to see the two political parties working together on this, and let's hope it passes. Finally, vegan product launches have outpaced vegetarian ones in Germany, according to research by Mintel. In 2015, new product launches carrying a vegan claim were greater than those labelled as vegetarian, with Germany launching more vegan products than any other European country that year. Vegan claims were featured on 10% of newly introduced food and drink products in Germany in 2015, while only 6% were labelled as vegetarian. This is a substantial increase from only 2 years ago, when vegan and vegetarian labelled products each only accounted for 3% of all launches in Germany. So Germany has actually taken the lead when it comes to vegan launch activity, accounting for 36% of all vegan food and drink introductions in Europe in 2015. They're followed by the UK at 21%, France at 7%, and Italy at 4%. Katja Whittams, senior food and drink analyst at Mintel, says, "The vegan diet is rapidly moving from the fringe to the mainstream as one of the fastest growing segments in the German food and drink industry, with consumers' interest in meat-free diets continuing unabated. Germany has seen vegan references explode in the market as veganism infiltrates food service and retail packaged food sectors. Vegan products seem to succeed in attracting attention from a much wider health and ethically driven flexi-vegan consumer base. Demand is also spurred by the growing interest in both free-from and organic qualities, which are commonly represented by vegan products." Well, what can I say to that? Woohoo! That's great news, and well done, Germany. It looks like we're really making some headway now, and I love some of the adjectives that Katja used, like we're infiltrating the food service sectors, and the growing interest in meat-free diets is continuing unabated. So this is all very exciting stuff. So that's it for this episode of Vegan Business Talk. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, please consider giving it a review and a rating on iTunes or any other platform you're listening on. I'm Katrina Fox from veganbusinessmedia.com, and I look forward to catching up with you in the next episode. Bye for now.